All right. Welcome into the Scenario Show, late night SFL tradition. We have 8 of the 16 scenarios on the screen, but we'll be showing them as they become irrelevant and then updating some of the things that we know in the tiebreakers section as the night goes along. Fox, if you turn your speakers down, we won't get reverb.
Sorry.
Newcomer to the show. Welcome, Fox Highwind. Thanks for stepping in.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
We also got Rochelle Colston. What up, Ray?
I'm doing good, Cam. How are you?
I'm great. I wish the games would have given us a little bit of an easier night, but we'll see how it goes. Tyler, what's up?
Oh, I'm doing well, Cam. Just finished driving the 3 hours back from Branson, Missouri today, so.
Looks like it was worth it, though.
Yep, that it was.
Hunter Norwood is here, our Jack's Data superstar. What up, Hunter?
How you doing? You got me working on my vacation.
Well, that's disappointing. Why'd you take vacation on the last week of the regular season? That's not smart.
I also have vacation for the semifinals championship weekends. So
right. Hopefully you'll be celebrating a championship on vacation.
Hopefully.
All right, so we have 16 scenarios tonight. We're going to start at the top here and give us a moment as we all sort of refresh our roles on this show. But once we get moving, things will become a little easier, a little smoother as we go along. Our first scenario is a win essentially by all the favorites in the last 4 games. Florida, Carolina, Albuquerque, and Mexico City. So we're plugging in those victories into the system now, and then we'll see how that looks.
Ready to go with that, Cam.
Alrighty. That's on the league standings page.
Correct.
All right, so
I'll plug in the...
yeah, if you put it into scenario 1,
Yep.
There we go. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 5 teams at 6 and 6. Let's just go ahead and just show everybody. Okay, so we've got common game. We've got our common game calculator here. So we've got we have Nashville, Atlanta, Houston. And you can see there, after we plug 3 of these teams in, that we don't have 3 common opponents, which means that we're not going to be able to have common opponents break this 5-way tie. So it goes to strength of victory, as there are no head-to-head sweeps either. Otherwise, it would have popped up in common games. So Louisiana ends up at 278, and fellas, I think that's where we expect Louisiana to fall much of the night without many tiebreakers, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So then we're back to our 4 remaining teams. You can see that they have no common opponents. Now Nashville lost to Atlanta, but did not play Houston and beat DC. So there's no head-to-head sweep there. DC did not play Houston. Houston did not play Atlanta, so there's no head-to-head sweeps going on there. There's no common game, so it goes back to SOV. And in this current model, that is a 333 for the DC Dragons, so they would be in the 15 spot on the outside. DC is then removed, and now we have our 3 remaining teams, Nashville, Atlanta, and Houston. They are 1-1 against each other. That is not enough for common opponents, so it goes back to strength of victory, and Houston is next. 347 is their SOV. So Houston is the 14 spot out of the playoffs. So who gets in, Atlanta or Nashville in this scenario? The 1 spot for a 6-win team? Well, that goes back to Nashville and Atlanta. Nashville lost to Atlanta, so Atlanta would be the 12 seed in the playoffs on head-to-head over the Nashville Tempo in this scenario. Does that check out for my panel?
Confirm.
Yes.
So In this case, Nashville losing and even Atlanta losing really hurts Nashville more. Okay, then we have 4 teams at 7-5: Carolina, Lexington, Charleston, and Fort Worth. So we're going to plug that into our common games calculator. Carolina goes first, and then we've got Lexington. Oh, they're all over it. You guys are too fast for me. Makes me feel old. Carolina, Charleston, Lexington, and that last team is Fort Worth. There you go. No common games amongst these 4 opponents, and nobody played each other. Well, Carolina lost to Fort Worth, but they beat Charleston, so no head-to-head there. Fort Worth did not play Charleston. Lexington lost to Charleston, but beat Carolina, so that's all a wash. So it's back to SOV. And it looks like Lexington at 345 would be in the 10 spot, or sorry, the 11 spot. So Lexington at 345 SOV would be 11th. Actually, I'm just going to shorten this up because we're going to be doing some copy and pasting. All right, Carolina, Charleston, and Fort Worth remain, and that is a head-to-head sweep for Fort Worth. That automatically elevates Fort Worth into the 8th spot. Do y'all confirm?
Yes.
Now, remind me,
sorry.
common game sweep.
Yes.
It's not a head-to-head sweep, but it's a common game sweep. So
My
it still
fault. Yes,
counts the same.
yeah. Fort Worth and Charleston did not play, so Carolina lost to Fort Worth, beat Charleston, so they don't have a sweep. So it goes to common games, and Fort Worth is 3-0, but Hunter, because Carolina did not suffer a common games loss. Would that? That is a tough one. Hunter, what are your thoughts here?
I see what you're getting at, because they beat Charleston, but they're going to get slotted under Charleston.
We always want the biggest, the biggest head-to-head tiebreakers to apply.
I mean, I think for consistency, like what you were saying before, Fort Worth is 3-0. They're going to win common games every time. Fort Worth didn't play Charleston, and
they beat Carolina.
They beat Carolina.
Yeah. So Fort Worth goes
put them
to
up
8.
top. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then if you go between Carolina and Charleston, Carolina beat Charleston. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks right to me. Everyone concur?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
So Carolina's head-to-head applies. Fort Worth's common games apply. Charleston has common games over Carolina, but the bigger one is that Carolina beat Charleston. So Carolina gets the 9 spot. Charleston gets the 10 spot in that situation. Albuquerque's your lone 8-4 team in this situation. Easy peasy for them. And Canton is your number 1 seed because they have a head-to-head win versus Mexico City. So what's left to determine is the 3 through 6 spot. Minnesota, Arizona, Baltimore, and Florida into our common games calculator. We'll give that a minute to get pulled up.
Baltimore, does it matter since they're not a division winner?
Oh, correct. So they are automatically slotted 6th as a non-division winner. So they would not be a part of the common games
There's no head-to-head sweep. So
say again.
I was just saying they didn't play everyone and didn't have some crazy head-to-head sweep or nothing either.
And there's no minimum of 3 common games.
Yep, so they don't meet that requirement, so we go to strength of victory, and that is Arizona missing the bye with a 444 SOV. That leaves...
Minnesota with head-to-head.
Minnesota with head-to-head over Florida. But the big one is that Arizona is your 5 seed and misses the bye. Okay. I think we got that one all squared away. The first one's always the hardest. Everybody concur?
Yep.
Concur. Just copying
Looks
the
good.
Canton over Mexico City and all Mexico City win scenarios.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be good. In fact, you can copy over all the 10 and 2s as well in that situation.
Copy.
Okay, so scenario 2, Hunter, the only change we're going to make here is that Nashville beats Mexico City. So everything stays the same, but Nashville beats Mexico City. Let me know when we're ready.
All 6 and 6 teams are eliminated. That's Atlanta, Houston, D.C., and Louisiana.
That's true, because Nashville picks up a 7th win. So we don't really have to worry about the semantics of all that. Pull this over.
All right, you're good.
All right. All right, so let's go. Just going to create this box here. Okay, so we have 5. Bear with me. We have 5, 7, and 5 teams. Lexington, Charleston, Fort Worth, Carolina, Nashville. We already know that Lexington, Charleston, Carolina, and Fort Worth did not have any common games. So we're back to strength of victory. Lexington is the worst at 345. They would be your 12 seed. Okay, and then Charleston, Fort Worth, Carolina, Nashville. We have not done that, but we did do Fort Worth, Carolina, Charleston, and they did have common games. So let's throw Nashville in there to see if they also have common games. Charleston, Fort Worth,
One
Carolina.
common game.
Yeah, so not enough there. Thank you, Tyler. So your next SOV is Charleston at 381. They would be the 11 seed. So Fort Worth, Carolina, Nashville, and not enough. We're back.
Carolina gets swept on head-to-head. Between those 3.
You're right. Carolina lost to Nashville and Fort Worth. Now, Fort Worth did not play Nashville, but in this case, it doesn't matter. It's a head-to-head sweep loss. So Carolina is slotted 10th. It's interesting, right? When you have those 4 teams, of course, Carolina beat Charleston, but because Charleston gets put out on strength of victory, then it actually hurts Carolina and drops them into the 10 spot. So we're left with Fort Worth and Nashville. They did not play each other, but it does look like we have common games, and Fort Worth has the edge there. And that can carry over into other scenarios as well. We don't have to replay that saga. Albuquerque's still your only 8-4 squad. Canton is your number 1 seed. Baltimore is your 6th seed because they are a non-division winner. So now it's between Mexico City, Arizona, Florida, Minnesota. Minnesota, Florida, Arizona was broken on SOV, so having another team in there is not going to change that. The SOV in this scenario is Mexico City 370. They are the 5 seed, and they miss out on the bye with a loss. Arizona, Florida, Minnesota is left. Last scenario, Arizona was eliminated on SOV, and they still are at 435. Back to Florida, Minnesota, where Minnesota has the head-to-head. Except this time they are the 2 seed. Does that look right to everyone?
A-firm.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump to scenario 4, Hunter. The only change is Los Angeles beats Albuquerque. From where we are right now, Los Angeles beats Albuquerque. By the way, for the first time, playing all the underscores as our background music tonight of our new soundtrack.
6 and 6 still stay the same. They are also, again, eliminated in this scenario. That would be Atlanta, Houston, DC, Louisiana.
Thank you.
You are good. This is a weird record setup.
Let's see what we have.
This time Albuquerque joins the 7 and 5 teams.
That's right. Now there's 6 of them. We definitely are going strength of victory first, and that is still Lexington at 357. Albuquerque's now in the bunch. And it's Albuquerque at 369. So we're back to Charleston, Fort Worth, Carolina, Nashville, which Charleston was eliminated on SOV in the prior one, and they still are at 381. And then we're back to Carolina, Nashville, Fort Worth, which was a head-to-head sweep loss for Carolina and a common games win for Fort Worth. Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, we've got 5 teams, the same 5 teams at 9 and 3. Let's confirm that Mexico City is still out on SOV. That is correct. And then we confirm that Arizona is next. That is correct. So that all stays the same as well.
Albuquerque goes from being hosting a wild card game to going to what is it?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Oy.
Which was a wild game in the regular season, but Albuquerque couldn't stop them. Okay, so now that we have that, we can pop over to scenario 3. The only change is Mexico City beats Nashville from where we are right now. Mexico City beats Nashville. All 6 and 6s out again?
No, negative. We have 1-6 able to make it.
Okay.
We need a sword.
Same as 1.
Correction, 2 6 and 6s.
Ah. Okay then.
Well, wait,
Or why is there's
Nashville-
two Nashvilles?
There's two Nashvilles.
Oh.
I think. Hold on. Just give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
No, don't mess with the seat.
Okay.
What the hell happened?
Turn the music up a little bit.
Right?
It's probably changing on my end only. I think most likely
Should be
who's missing.
sort by alphabetical.
I think while you were copying teams over, you copied over one of the
Possibly.
teams. It was one of the 7 fives.
Mexico.
Most likely,
I don't see
because they
Fort Worth.
Okay.
It was Fort Worth, yeah.
There we go. Thankfully, it's an easy fix.
Because you're a rock star.
So, yes.
Yeah, so just 1 6 and 6 again.
This. Oops, that's not right.
So far, we haven't needed any strength of schedule madness. I don't think we've ever had to break a tiebreaker on point differential. I don't think it's ever gotten that crazy. I know we've had scenarios where we've had to use it, but those scenarios never happen.
If I remember correctly, a couple of seasons ago, it was really close to getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, sure was. We're just awaiting scenario 3 to be ready for us, and then we'll see if Atlanta is the lone 6 and 6 team once again to make it.
Cam, all right. Commentator's curse, but go ahead.
What? Oh. Oh, whoops. Okay then. Oh. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Back to all the 6 and 6s. Louisiana, DC. We'll stop there on SOV. Then I see that we have... Oh, goodness. Then I see that we have a tie between Houston and Atlanta, but we also... Oh, Houston, Atlanta, Nashville does not have enough common games. Nashville did not play Houston, neither did Atlanta. So even though Atlanta beat Nashville, there's no head-to-head sweep there, so it cannot apply. Therefore, common games cannot apply. Therefore, strength of victory applies. And we are tied at 347. So the tie between Atlanta and Houston has to be broken. So between Atlanta and Houston, they did not play each other. How those common games look. Two and 4. So they didn't play each other. They have the same common games. They have the same strength of victory. So the team that played the worst schedule was Houston at 500. They would be 14th on strength of schedule. Wow. That is brutal. Now it goes to Atlanta and Nashville. And guess what, folks? Atlanta beat Nashville. So Atlanta's in, right? Right, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Confirm.
Woo! That was a doozy, Hunter.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Houston, just by not playing as good of a schedule, down the stretch. Man, they were so close. That could have been their ticket in. No one can kill the Headhunters recently. They've won 3 games in fourth quarter comebacks in the last month. All right, we're back to 7-5 teams. And let's see if everything still holds up. Lexington, no, Charleston and Albuquerque are going to make things interesting. Lexington is still your 11 seed. Now we've got Charleston and Albuquerque.
Aye.
They are tied at SOV. So we have to break that tie. Charleston and Albuquerque. Charleston lost to Albuquerque. Therefore, their common games win does not matter. Albuquerque goes ahead on head-to-head. Now, Albuquerque, Fort Worth, Carolina. What does that look like? Albuquerque, Fort Worth, Carolina. No, we haven't seen that yet.
Albuquerque, Fort Worth, Carolina. No head-to-head and no common games requirement.
Yeah, Carolina lost to Fort Worth, and Albuquerque beat Fort Worth, but nobody's got a sweep. No common games, so it goes to strength of victory. That's Albuquerque, 369. Fort Worth and Carolina remain, and Carolina lost to Fort Worth. So Carolina would be your 8. Fort Worth would be your 7. That's pretty wild, too. Baltimore's your non-division winner. I think are they locked into the 6? Seems like they might be sitting in 6 all night. Arizona, Florida, Minnesota. We have seen this before. As long as Arizona's worst SOV holds up, which it does. So once again, Arizona is in the 5 spot. Now, they do have a scenario where they get a bye, so they're not totally locked into the 5. But in the case of Mexico City winning so far, that is the difference between Arizona getting a bye or not. Everybody confirm?
Confirm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Florida, Carolina, Los Angeles, Mexico City. So we want to keep things as close as possible. Let's jump to scenario 11, Hunter, where the only difference is Atlanta beats Florida. So we'll get our first look at if Florida were to end 8-4. Only difference from where we are now is Atlanta beats Florida.
Cam, what scenario is this again?
11.
All right, you're
So
good.
it looks like with that, no 6 and 6 teams make it either.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing.
Yep.
Confirm. Except this time it's Nashville in there instead of Nashville.
Right.
Yeah, Nashville's out. All right, back to our 7 and 5 slog. Lexington is 12. Albuquerque, Charleston, Atlanta, Carolina, Fort Worth. Albuquerque is 11. Charleston, Atlanta.
Hold on.
Fort Worth twice.
Yeah, I just saw that click over.
Missing Carolina.
Tyler, are you killing me?
I didn't do it this time. I promise.
I watched it happen in front of me.
What happened?
Jeez.
Give me 1 second.
Maybe I did it.
I'm blaming Tyler.
I've been moving him over to the scenario show page, so maybe it's me. Maybe I should stop doing that.
No, just start blaming Tyler.
Or that.
Hey. It's the early future brother-in-law love. I already feel it.
You're fine now.
Do I need to repost?
What do you mean?
Okay. I guess not. It looks like I got everybody. Okay. Okay, Charleston is at 381. They would be in the 10 spot. Let's look at Atlanta, Carolina, Fort Worth. We've been here before? I don't think
I
so.
think we've been here before.
We have?
There's no head-to-head, I don't think, unless Fort Worth beat Carolina.
Carolina gets swept by them. I think that was that one.
Yeah.
Confirm.
Yeah. No, crazy enough, that was Carolina, Nashville, Fort Worth. This is Carolina, Atlanta, Fort Worth, but it's the same thing.
Yep.
Carolina losing to some teams they probably wish they hadn't lost to. So that just leaves... Oh, right, because Charleston went out on SOV, which allowed Carolina to advance. So that just leaves Atlanta, Fort Worth.
Atlanta
Fort Worth
with
beat
the better-
Atlanta.
What? Fort Worth.
Fort Worth beat Atlanta.
You know, Cam, Carolina wins one of those two games as well. They're winning the East in this scenario too.
True. Right. Yeah, if they just win one of those two, they would have won the East at 8-4, tied with Florida. Yeah, that's wild. So here's our first scenario of Baltimore not being a 6. So there are 5 here, but they can't get the bye as a non-division winner. So we're left with Arizona, Minnesota for the first time. Just those two. They did not play each other.
Yeah, but common games, Arizona's 4-0. Oh, sorry, 3-3.
5
Minnesota
and
with
1.
better common game.
And Minnesota's 5-1. Yeah.
Okay, CG. So Arizona gets the 4, and Minnesota gets the 3, and then Canton gets the 1. Mexico City gets the 2. Okay, let's jump to 12. The only difference, Hunter, is that Nashville beats Mexico City.
Our first 7 and 5 team could miss the playoffs in this scenario.
Mm.
The 3 teams that are out: Houston, DC, Louisiana. So as they are right now in the current standings in scenario 12.
Look at all those 7 and 5 teams. Wow.
We good, Hunter?
Momentarily, and you're fine.
Now you let me know if I do something screwy here. Let me try again. Should be okay.
Everything looks good.
All right. Okay, so oh yeah, I don't know. I see. I don't know why I have an extra column. I don't.
I'll get that, Cam.
Yeah, I don't know why that extra column needs to be there, but yeah, it's driving me nuts.
I'll fix it.
I guess I can just blame you. Okay, so
Yep, do it.
7-5 teams. One of them misses the playoffs, and I'm guessing it's Lexington. 357 SOV. Yikes. So the possibility for the Miners to miss the playoffs at 7 wins still exists. Next slotted is Albuquerque, 369, just ahead of them. Charleston is 11. Nashville, Fort Worth, Carolina, Atlanta. Any shot they have a common game or a sweep? Because I know Carolina lost to all of them.
No, they beat Charleston though.
Yeah, but Charleston's out on SOV at 11. But Carolina lost to Atlanta,
No.
Fort Worth, and Nashville, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a team lose a head-to-head sweep in a 4-way tie before.
No, that's crazy.
Wow. So that would drop Carolina down to 10 with a win in this scenario. Man, that's nuts. So we're left with Atlanta, Fort Worth, Nashville. Don't think we've had that yet.
I think we did on another scenario, and common games did not apply.
Correct.
They don't.
So Atlanta, Fort Worth, Nashville. Atlanta is 405. That leaves Fort Worth and Nashville. And Fort Worth has
Common
common
games.
games.
Yep, 3-1.
Fort Worth's doing pretty good, despite losing to DC today. So far, they have a home game in every scenario. Their tiebreakers and their resume are strong. Florida's your lone 8-4, and Baltimore is your lone 9-3 division winner. Mexico City, Arizona, and Minnesota.
Baltimore non-division winner.
Yeah, they're 5. So Mexico City, Minnesota, Arizona are the 3 to look at. This is the first time all of them have had the same record without Florida in the mix. No common games. Mexico City's your worst SOV. They are your 4. Arizona, Minnesota.
5-1 at common games. With it, we broke this one scenario last
Arizona,
scenario.
5-1 Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Scenarios ago.
Scenario 11. We just moved it up the line. Okay. 6 down. Atlanta, Carolina, LA, Nashville. Let's jump to 10. The only difference in 10, Hunter, is that Albuquerque beat Nashville in scenario 10.
I mean, Albuquerque beat LA.
Yes. My bad. Way to go, Tyler. Albuquerque beat LA.
I'll just keep digging my hole over here.
I
you worry.
don't actually want to blame you for things, but the fans seem to love it. So
You make a 2-10 prediction. You fail to get a golf outing together. It's just all downhill.
I just do what the people want.
You want it to hurt, don't you?
Yeah, sure do.
Oh boy.
All right, you're good.
Okay. Scenario 10.
And we still have a 7-5 team on the outside.
We sure
Yep.
do. Yep. SOV once again. Louisiana, DC, Houston. And then Lexington with that non-impressive resume is in your 12 spot. Or I'm sorry, your 13 spot. Charleston is in your 12 spot. And then we're back to the Carolina, Atlanta, Nashville, Fort Worth four-way tie, in which Carolina had a head-to-head sweep loss. Then Atlanta was eliminated on SOV, and then Fort Worth beat Nashville on common games.
Correct.
Right.
We have Florida and Albuquerque at 8-4 for the first time. Albuquerque did not play Florida. So the question is, how do the resumes stack up?
Florida sweep.
Florida.
5-0.
Mm-hmm. Just barely.
Well,
Yep,
Florida has the
4-1.
division anyway.
Right.
Well, that's true.
Yep.
But they didn't play head to head, so
Division winners over non-division winners.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Hunter, Tyler. All right, Baltimore, Mexico City, Arizona, Minnesota. We saw that in scenario 12.
Baltimore, your 5 seed.
Yep, and then Mexico City's SOV is still worse, yes. And then
Yes.
common games for Minnesota. Okay, that's 10. Scenario 9. We're back to Mexico City beating Nashville. So, for Louisiana, DC, Houston, haven't really seen any hope for them. Houston did have a glimmer of hope in scenario 3, but they just missed it. And it looks like it may be winning in for Nashville. We still have some time to go, but it's not looking good. But we saw some upsets, didn't we, folks?
Yes, we did.
This week. No game is safe.
all right, you're good.
Vibes Cleveland, no idea what I'm looking at, but I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, that is the summary of this show. Is scenario 9 good, Hunter?
Yeah.
All right.
All 6 and 6 eliminated.
Teams eliminated. Okay, Tyler.
Jinx. You want me a
I'll buy
soda?
you a Coke.
No, I want a pop. I want a pop, please.
Okay. Pop you in the head.
No. A pop! Like a Mountain Dew or something like that.
No, I like
You
Ray's
suckers
idea
will-
better.
Yeah,
like
of
a
course you do.
Coke.
I call everything Coke. I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah, I call it pop. I'm from the Midwest.
Ugh.
I thought that was a northern thing.
Midwest / Michigan.
Ah, gotcha.
Lexington is 12 on SOV. Charleston is 11 on SOV. Unless... Oh, no. They didn't... Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Carolina.
And
beat
then
Charleston.
Carolina, Atlanta, Fort Worth is... they've been...
We've done this.
We've done this to death.
Yeah, but which one was it with just these three?
Carolina's got a lost head-to-head, and then
Yes.
Atlanta lost to Fort Worth.
It was scenario
Right.
11. All right, so... yeah, Fort Worth is still the 8. Albuquerque, Florida is division winner over non.
And you have
Then
the 3
Arizona,
non-league.
Minnesota, that's common
Head-to-head.
games.
Yep.
And then Canton head to head. Okay. So let's make sure we highlight this. So right now Atlanta is our only 6-6 team that can make it, and Lexington is our only 7-5 team that can't make it. Okay, we were on Atlanta, Carolina, Albuquerque, Mexico City, so that jumps us to scenario 13, where the only difference is Indianapolis beats Carolina. And I have made a grave error because I have this large monitor, but I cropped my screen. So now I can't scroll. So now I have to bear with me here.
I feel your pain, Cam.
I've got to...
Oh man, what will you do with your 6 monitors?
First world problems.
I have to... Let's get it back here.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Cam.
Okay. Okay. That's still not right. There we go. Okay. We are on 13. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, see now I'm able to scroll it well. So there we go. All right, and 13's ready.
Yeah.
Sorry everybody.
You
Ooh.
actually flip one thing.
This looks spicy.
All right.
Now we have a possible 6-6 in team making it, but Atlanta wins, so they are already in at 7-5. So we have a new team that could potentially get to 6-6 in the playoffs. Louisiana, DC, out on SOV.
Houston, Carolina, Nash.
Carolina and Nashville are kind of mixed up.
Houston, Carolina, Nashville.
Well, Carolina's strength of victory is 486 and Nashville's is 444.
Yes.
But they played up.
Yes. I preemptively flipped them.
Okay.
I can't ever remember who won that game.
So Carolina lost to Nashville, but beat Houston. And Houston didn't play Nashville. So nobody has a head-to-head sweep there. And there's not enough common games, so it goes to strength of victory, and so Houston is out. So there was another opportunity for Houston to make the playoffs, but they couldn't pull it out. And then Nashville beat Carolina head-to-head on Monday night, and they get the 12 seed.
Gotcha.
Wow. So 486 SOV ends up on the outside looking in the playoffs. That is better than every other playoff team except Minnesota. But it's all about who you lose to. Wow. That's a bummer for Carolina. Okay, back to our 7 and 5s. Lexington, Charleston, Atlanta, Fort Worth. Lexington is your worst SOV. And then Charleston, Atlanta, Fort Worth. Why does
Atlanta has a head-to-head loss, a sweep in both of those.
Because Atlanta lost to both of them.
Yes.
And it's Fort Worth on common game.
Yep.
Over Charleston by how much?
6 to 1 to 4 to 3.
Okay. And then Florida's over Albuquerque as
Division winner.
a division winner.
Baltimore non-division winner. Minnesota over Arizona on common game.
Yep.
Okay. That's a rough one for Carolina. All right, Atlanta, Indy, Albuquerque, Mexico City. Let's go to scenario 14, where the only difference is that Nashville beats Mexico City.
Give me 1 second. Eddie is DMing me like crazy.
Yes, your common game stinks versus Minnesota. Get over it.
Right, I know. I already know what he wants, so. Okay, what was it?
Nashville beats Mexico City.
Gotcha.
Carolina out. All 6 and 6 out.
Yeah.
Nashville and Carolina swap.
Let me know when 14's good.
Good to go.
Okay, so Lexington, worst SOV. Charleston, Atlanta, Fort Worth, Nashville. Atlanta lost to both Fort Worth and Charleston,
Beat Nashville.
but beat Nashville. So there's no head-to-head sweep there. There's no common or not enough common games. So Charleston ends up at 11 on SOV. And then we're back to Atlanta, Fort Worth, Nashville.
Atlanta
Which
beat.
was-
There's no sweep here.
Correct.
Okay, so SOV it is. That's Atlanta, 405.
Fort Worth on common game. 3 to 1.
Thank you.
And then the rest is Mexico City on SOV, and then Minnesota over Arizona on Common Game. This was accomplished back in Scenario 12.
Excellent. Resumes matter, people. Okay, that's 14. We've only had one really bizarre one. That was Scenario 3, I think. All right, let's jump up to... We're going to go 16. Scenario 16, Los Angeles beats Albuquerque, Hunter.
I'm sure.
All 6 and 16s eliminated. Same 4 as last time.
Give me 1 second. Ooh,
This is not looking good for Carolina.
It's tough.
They need to win tomorrow, and even if they don't win, I'm sorry, yeah, yeah, they might just need to win tomorrow.
There's big hit.
Yeah, so far they're winning in.
Mm-hmm. So Atlanta's odds are a little bit better. They could still lose and get in. We've seen that a couple times. Nashville's in the
All right,
same
good.
boat, but not as much as Atlanta so far. Hunter, let me know when 16 is good.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. We've got Lexington and Albuquerque. At the bottom, Atlanta, Charleston, Fort Worth, Nashville.
Charleston, Atlanta tied on SOV.
Yep.
And Charleston beat Atlanta going back through the tiebreakers.
Same tiebreakers as before, Hunter. Way back in Scenario 3.
Yeah. Atlanta beats. Or
that
Atlanta
was
loses
Albuquerque That was Albuquerque, or is this just straight head to head?
Well, it's a tie on SOV when we do the Nashville, Fort Worth, Charleston, Atlanta.
So we have to break the tie. And
which is the
between
head-to-head loss.
right, between Charleston and Atlanta.
Yeah, because Atlanta loses to Charleston and Fort Worth, but we beat Nashville.
Yeah, so Atlanta loses to Charleston, so they get the 10 spot. Charleston, Fort Worth, Nashville. You seen that before?
I think it's SOV again.
Nashville did not play Fort Worth. Charleston did not play Fort Worth. So, yeah, you're right. SOV's 393 for Charleston.
And then I think Fort Worth had common games over Nashville.
Correct.
Yep.
3-1 again. Same as Scenario 14.
Mhm. Excellent. Okay, Baltimore's non-division winner. Then we're back to Mexico City, Arizona, Minnesota.
Same as top 5. Minnesota's either clinched a 2 or a 3 seed. A 3 seed with a Mexico City win, a 2 seed with a Mexico City loss. Looks like.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, we jump to 8. Scenario 8. The only difference is Florida beats Atlanta.
We have another 6-6 team potentially making it.
Yep.
All right. Just trying to see. Let me know, Hunter.
Yeah, one second.
It's good.
I'm just switching some things around we already know. Sure. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Which scenario is this again?
8. There's a green check marks next to the scenario.
Ah, I see it. Thank you.
All right. Louisiana, DC, Atlanta. Before we include Atlanta, how about Atlanta, Houston, Carolina in a 3-way? No common games. Houston
And
did
no
not.
head-to-head sweep.
Yeah. Man. Houston's right there. But this time Atlanta on strength of victory is your 14. That gets interesting. Houston, Carolina for the 12.
Carolina beat Houston.
Oh! The dagger.
I mean,
Oh, that
imagine
hurts.
Carolina. Imagine Carolina not making it with a 500 SOP though.
I know.
Carolina beats Houston on a head-to-head when Houston had an opportunity to make it in. That was back in week 5. So Carolina has a scenario where at 6-6 they can get in. It's not just a complete win and in scenario. They need a couple upsets to happen. All right, back to our 7-5s here. It's Lexington followed by Albuquerque. Charleston.
SOB for Charleston. This is scenario 16 again.
Yeah. Yeah, Fort
All
Worth.
the way up.
Fort Worth came out of this looking pretty good, all things considered, after their tough loss today. Okay,
Those
ball.
9
Huh?
9-3 team. That's a
Mexico
What scenario
City,
is that?
Arizona, Florida, Minnesota.
scenario 4.
Yeah. Look at that. Good eye. Mexico City and Arizona are still worse. I think that what's made the scenarios a little bit easier this season, surprisingly, is that the teams at the top have a pretty wide margin on strength of victory. They're not really close comparing resumes, so we really, every time we've double-checked to see if anything has changed, it hasn't. Okay, that is 8. Let's pop to 7. The only difference is Mexico City beats Nashville.
$4.99 super chat from Skippy. Tell me I'm good. Car, baby.
You know, and I think Skippy had a super chat at the beginning of the show. She did. Car. Thanks, Skip. You know, I told y'all before I got on the air that I thought I bled her dry, but apparently not. Scenario 7 when you're ready, Hunter.
Yes. Oh, wow, that's actually... Just trying to sort a few things that we already knew, and...
We have
I saw
two,
something new.
Nashville, Carolina, Houston,
Yeah,
Louisiana.
just sort this up real quick, make sure.
What was the one
Right.
change that did this? Nashville losing, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, that
Wow.
there's two?
yeah, that there's two,
Yeah,
6 and
'cause
16 in
there's-
this one.
That's
There's
all
three-
3 6 and 5 teams losing.
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
if two of the 6-win teams win, then it clears out all the six lost
Here.
teams.
Here comes a crazy scenario.
Yep. We ready?
Yep.
Gonna break Atlanta, DC.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's spicy. Yeah, DC's been a team we haven't really talked about much tonight. After their big win in Fort Worth, bumped their resume.
DC wins on common games, I believe.
Checking.
Yeah,
No tie.
No tie.
DC
Oh, really?
Atlanta is an SOV tie and a common games tie.
Yep.
So DC's schedule 5-14.
7/100, 7 SOS. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's a
That's
heartbreaker right there.
thousands. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So DC, that was their best shot tonight. They fall short. Carolina, Nashville, Houston, Atlanta. A lot of these teams have played each other. Can we get another look at that?
I think
This
Houston...
might be the
pretty sure
Carolina
Houston
sweep.
throws a wrench in most of this.
Yeah.
So Carolina and everybody else.
Yep.
Carolina, Nashville, Houston, Atlanta.
I think it's like one or two common games. Actually, I think with Carolina in there, it might just be one.
Nope. No.
So Carolina
Nashville
lost to
lost.
Nashville, beat Houston, lost to Atlanta. Nashville, well, Atlanta beat Carolina, beat Nashville, but didn't play Houston. So the sweep can't apply. So Houston essentially survives. Houston didn't play Nashville. So that takes us to strength of victory, which is Atlanta again at 333 in the 14 spot.
Yeah.
Every maybe winning in for oh no, there was another scenario. So Houston's still in this thing. Houston, Nashville, Carolina goes to strength of victory because Houston didn't play Nashville and Carolina split the two. And
Houston
Houston's
out
out on SOV.
Yep.
Ah! And then Nashville beat Carolina.
So Carolina's 12.
Oh, man. Oh. Man, you just feel bad for teams like Houston and D.C. who won today. We knew that Louisiana didn't have much of a chance, but thought maybe Houston or D.C. could have some scenarios. They're running out of time here. Lexington.
And the bad thing is that Houston was winning took their SOV down actually.
Yeah,
But if they had lost, they would have been out.
yeah, but they needed it. They needed the
Yeah.
win. That what they needed was Bossier City to win sometime in the last month. Then
Yeah.
it would have been different. So then Charleston, Fort Worth, Albuquerque. That doesn't ring a bell. Charleston, Fort Worth, Albuquerque.
Albuquerque head-to-head sweep win.
Oh, yeah, that
Wow.
actually came up just a couple weeks ago on the show. Yeah, Albuquerque beat Charleston and Fort Worth. That was that crazy game against Fort Worth where Fort Worth did almost nothing.
Then Fort Worth has a common game 6-1 over Charleston.
Right.
Yep, that's true. Because they did not play each other. Fort Worth, I think we're going to see you at the Stockyards in the playoffs. All right, Baltimore is your 6. Arizona, Florida, Minnesota. That should
Arizona
be
5. Strength of victory.
yeah, and then Minnesota beat Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, their strength of victory is still not enough. Okay, that's scenario 7. Right now, Houston, DC, and Louisiana have been eliminated with 3 scenarios to go. Carolina, Atlanta, Nashville all have paths to the postseason with a loss, but they need help. Okay, Florida, Indianapolis, LA, Minnesota. Let's jump to 15, scenario 15. And the difference is Atlanta beat Florida, Hunter.
Gotcha.
Harish Prasad, $5 super chat. Car.
You know, there's something else that's crazy is that there's still 2 scenarios that all of the East get in.
Have we had a scenario that we've done yet where all the East gets in?
Yes, 2 of them. I'm thinking
I forgot about that.
Scenario 12.
12 and 10, I think.
Look at scenario 10. They're all in a line. Nashville, Atlanta, Carolina, Charleston. All the wild card road teams are from the East.
Wow.
It's just crazy.
The league versus the East. Let's go.
Apparently.
Give me 1 second. All right. Sport is.
Excuse me.
All right.
Good?
Yeah.
I just want to point out that we're creating a lot of great content here for those that think that we don't create content. This is really good content. All right. There we go. So we do have 1 6-6 team getting in. Louisiana, DC are on the outside. Now we're back to the whole Houston, Carolina, Nashville. which I believe was in scenario 7, an SOV elimination for Houston.
Yes.
Yeah, no common game.
And
Carolina loses to Nashville.
Right. So because Carolina, in this scenario, because Nashville beat Carolina, that's the difference, them getting in the playoffs. Same thing in scenario 13. That was a Monday night game, too. All right, back to, let's see, Lexington, Albuquerque, Atlanta, Charleston, Fort Worth.
Atlanta head-to-head sweep loss.
Yes.
And
Here it
then
is.
Fort
Here it
Worth's
is right here.
coming games.
yeah.
Is this everything you wanted it, you hoped it would be, Fox?
It's that and more. I'm living my dream. Hey, I love this show and I love stats and I'm just a nerd.
I love it. Minnesota over Arizona common games, okay? All right. So, for the first time tonight, Hunter, we got to change a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump to... let's just go 5. Florida beats Atlanta, and Albuquerque beats LA from where we are now. Florida beats Atlanta, Albuquerque beats LA.
Let's see. It's
What a season, huh?
It's been exciting.
1 or 2 10-win teams. Last year we had 4, right? Last season?
This is going to be a crazy scenario right here. I'll tell you that right now.
Are we seeing this correctly? 2 6-6 teams again?
Yes.
Yep.
So 5 and 7 are probably pretty similar. Except Albuquerque wins. We good, Hunter?
yeah.
$5 super chat from Brett Killian. We're so far into this show and no mention of Vancouver being... Oh, right. Carry on, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That's a tough one.
With a 517 SOV too.
That's right. Yeah. Well, look at 517, which is number 1 in the league, right? The strongest 5 wins in the league. They also played the toughest schedule in the league at 597 along with Chicago. Just if they would have had one more, they probably would have won a lot of these 6-6 tie breaks. All right. Louisiana, DC. And then we're back to, we got Atlanta, Houston, Nashville, Carolina, which we had in scenario 7. This time there is no tie with Houston. Atlanta is 14th. Then it's Houston, Nashville, Carolina, which went to SOV. And Houston still does not have the resume to get in. So we're back to Nashville beating Carolina in the head-to-head, but this time both make the playoffs. Then we have Lexington, followed by Charleston. Whoops. Actually, there's only 3 7-5 teams in this scenario. Maybe Lexington could do something. Lexington, Charleston, Fort Worth. What does that look like?
Three-game minimum game tie-breaker. Fort Worth sweep on common game. Charleston, Lexington tiebreak.
Before that, Lexington was they lost both. They lost to Charleston and Fort Worth. So they have a head-to-head sweep loss. Now, Charleston didn't play Fort Worth, but because Lexington has the head-to-head sweep loss, they're automatically 10th.
And then Fort Worth over Charleston in common.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Albuquerque's the only 8-4. Baltimore's your non-division winner. Arizona, Florida, Minnesota. Arizona's still out on SOV.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And the last one. Last chance. Nashville beats Mexico City. That's the only change. Tim Wright, appreciate you, man. Yeah, we did all this behind the scenes for many seasons, and we finally realized, why aren't we just doing it live? Because everybody keeps messaging me while I'm doing the scenarios, wondering what's happening. And so the light bulb went off. May not get the views that other content gets, but it's worth it.
It's midnight and we have 32 viewers, Cam.
Yeah, that's true. Very late. And the reason we don't do it on Sunday is because then I get messages all night on Saturday wondering where they stand. It's like, you know what? I'm going to bed after this, but I'm going to get you your scenarios to make sure you know so that you can sleep well or maybe just a little more peacefully at night. That's true.
All right.
Vancouver had Florida and Minnesota on the ropes. What their SOV could have been.
Yeah, one more win, and I think they'd be in all the 6-6 scenarios.
Hunter, we good on 6?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Louisiana, DC. Then it gets interesting. We have a tie. Well, first we have Houston, Atlanta, Carolina. Have we done anything with that before?
No head-to-head sweep. I think it's SOV scenarios or 8.
Scenario 7. No, Nashville was involved. Scenario 8. Yeah, Houston.
Scenario 8, Atlanta on SOV. Carolina wins over Houston.
But this time the SOV is tied.
Yep.
So we're not there yet. We have to break the tie between Atlanta and Houston.
I think this is like the 2-4 tie, right? On common games.
Plugging.
So it goes as strength of schedule.
Sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
because I think Atlanta and Houston had the
Yeah.
same amount
Right.
of common games.
This was the commentator's curse.
Oh, yeah. So then we went to strength of schedule, and again, Houston is worse than Atlanta.
Atlanta in at 6-6 over Carolina with a win.
Because they beat them.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. That is crazy.
500 SOV team.
So scenario 8 should be flipped. No, because it wasn't. It was SOV that broke Atlanta from losing. Here, in this scenario, because of Nashville beating Mexico City, that boosts Houston's SOV up. Let's see. No, is it Houston or is it Atlanta's SOV gets boosted? No.
Yeah. So in scenario 8, Atlanta Notice I'm cut off a little bit. Atlanta and Houston ended up tied. Well, no, they must not have been tied. I don't know. It's too late.
We can rerun it quick after this one just to double check.
Yeah, that's fine. Houston strength of schedule, and then Atlanta gets in over Carolina based on their head-to-head. We're back to our 7 and 5s. Actually, go ahead and run that, Tyler, while I'm finishing up this scenario. That would have been Atlanta, Houston, Carolina. Oh, you can't run it because we don't have the wins and losses. Okay, we'll circle back. We'll circle back. Okay, Lexington, followed by Charleston. Charleston, Fort Worth, Nashville. We know that. That's this one right here. Charleston still out on SOV. Yes. And then Fort Worth beats Nashville on common games. Albuquerque's alone. Baltimore's a non-division winner. Mexico City, Arizona, Florida, Minnesota. That is this one. Mexico City still out on SOV, yes. Then Arizona still out on SOV, yes. And then the head-to-head win from Minnesota gets them the 2 seed. All right.
On our scenario 8, the only difference is LA beats Albuquerque.
Yeah, let's run that back. Double check. Refresh our memory here before we get out of here. While that's occurring behind the scenes, Fort Worth gets a first-round home game. They're either the 7 or 8 seed. Charleston is in the playoffs, right? There's
Yes.
the only 7 and 5 team that could miss the playoffs is Lexington. So Charleston has clinched a spot. Nashville clinches a spot with a win. Fort Worth is in. So yeah, good night for most 7 and 5s. Lexington still wondering. And then Atlanta, Nashville, Carolina, they all have an opportunity to make the playoffs even with a loss in the next 2 days, but it is dicey as all get out. Especially for Carolina, who's eliminated in 3 of the 8 scenarios in which they lose. Now, actually, yeah, let me put it another way. Carolina only has 3 ways to get in if they lose. 3 out of 8. In 5 of the 8 scenarios, when they lose, they are out.
Cam, we can now confirm it is SOV that determines scenario 8, scenario 6.
Yeah, so what? Go
A
ahead.
Albuquerque win over LA in that scenario boosts the SOV of Atlanta for a tie. They need the win for an SOV tie in order to make that tiebreak happen.
Yep. Let me look at
And that
one
makes
other-
sense because Atlanta beat Albuquerque in week 1. That was at the convention. So what happens is that when Albuquerque wins, Atlanta's SOV goes up.
I see what we were thinking of. So in scenario 7, when the difference between scenario 8 was Mexico wins over Nashville, Atlanta ties with DC on strength of victory, and then beats them on strength of schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and then they lose to Houston on strength of victory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just tied with 2 different teams on strength of victory, but beat both of them on strength of schedule.
So Atlanta, with a loss, you have 3 scenarios in which you get in. 1, 3, and 6. The common thread between all those, Indy, Albuquerque, Nashville, Albuquerque. Oh, there is no common thread. It's an either-or situation. But yeah, you have 3 6 and 6 and in scenarios. Carolina has 3 in 6 and 6 scenarios, and Nashville, they must have the others. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4.
How many scenarios are there where Atlanta and Carolina both lose and make the playoffs? Are there any?
Atlanta and Carolina both lose. That would be 5 through 8. So Atlanta and Carolina both lose. Scenario 5 and 7. Yeah. Oh wait, no, you're talking about
5. No.
No, there are no scenarios. I was thinking you were saying Nashville. If
Oh.
Atlanta and Carolina both lose, there is no scenario in which both make the playoffs.
3 out of the 4 times it's Carolina, with the one exception being scenario 6.
Right, which is crazy because Atlanta beat Carolina. But the problem is that Atlanta's resume is not as strong as Carolina's. So that's helping Carolina stay alive longer in the 6 and 6 tiebreakers, which Atlanta does not survive as often.
Right.
And if you look at it another way, look at the scenarios where Atlanta and Carolina are both 6 and 6. Almost always Carolina comes out ahead, except in scenario 6, where Atlanta wins the spot just by winning that head-to-head.
Yeah.
It's big time for these teams in the thick of it. Mexico City can be the 2 or the 3. Florida, it looks like, can get as high as 3, but they could fall as far as 6 with a loss. Fort Worth's either going to be the 7 or the 8. And there's just way too many possibilities in terms of determining playoff matchups. Before I scroll over to the other screen, are there any playoff matchups here that catch your attention?
Scenario 2, Charleston back in Baltimore a week after getting just thrown into the dumpster this past week.
Yeah. Yep. That 11-6 game. That would be a tough draw for Charleston. Also, scenario 10, it's the 12-5 matchup. So scenario 10, they draw them as a 12 seed, and scenario 2, they draw them as an 11 seed.
There's also, I'm seeing if it pops up anymore. Albuquerque and Lexington, or no, not Lexington. I forget Lexington. I swear there was one where it was the 2 expansion teams. But it might not have worked out.
I'm scoping it out. Yeah, scenario 7, Albuquerque, Lexington, the 7-10 matchup.
Yeah, well, Lexington to a degree. I guess true expansions.
Scenario 5 as well, 7-10.
Yeah.
The true expansions were Albuquerque, Pittsburgh, and Nashville.
Right. There was I was running scenarios before today's games, and it popped up once or twice. I don't think it popped up today though.
It looks like Carolina as the 12 would draw either Arizona or Mexico City. Is Carolina ever higher than 12? 10. Yeah. Carolina would get Albuquerque in Albuquerque, scenario 9.
Scenario
They-
11, they're the 9th seed.
How about this? Scenario 10, they go to Florida
Hmm.
in the 11-6 matchup.
Beat Florida, and you still have to go there.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked
10
about
and
that a few weeks ago.
Scenario 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And 9. No, not 9.
11. That was 11 is Atlanta, Carolina. Oh, Albuquerque.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
saying
I'm reading.
It-
I'm
yeah,
I'm thinking for some reason I'm thinking 8-7, not 9-8.
Now,
I mean,
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the 4-5 matchup in basically every scenario is crazy. I mean, assuming the 5 beats the 12, which we're a bit top heavy with teams, so I would err on the side of the 5 wins, especially because it's usually
Usually Baltimore.
usually Baltimore, sometimes it's Arizona, sometimes it's Mexico City.
Yeah.
So, but the 4-5 ends up being, Arizona, Mexico City, Florida, Arizona,
Right.
Mexico City, Baltimore, Arizona, Baltimore,
Can you imagine?
in
you
the
im-
quarterfinal.
Can you imagine if Eddie Gage loses to Minnesota in Vancouver in week 14? He ends up backing into a bye only to get Baltimore in the quarterfinal.
Oh, that's rough.
Like, that is like the worst case scenario there.
I mean, if you look at even scenario 12, even scenario, honestly, 11, 12, 13, 11's crazy with, if seeds hold, it'd be Arizona, Baltimore in the 4-5, Minnesota, Florida in the 3-6, Mexico City, Fort Worth,
Wow.
and then Canton and Atlanta. But I mean, 12 is Florida, Arizona in the 3-6. It's just quarterfinals is going to be nuts unless there's upsets, which even then it would still be some good games.
It's like, welcome to the wild card match. You will now play Baltimore.
Yeah, Canton will take on the lowest seed that wins in the wild card round. That could be anyone from Carolina to Nashville. Look at scenario 4. Let's say that all the home teams win. Nashville-Canton would be the 8-1. I don't think Canton wants to see Nashville.
Not again.
Not after what happened the first time.
Now, what I think is interesting is if you look at scenario 7, Carolina and Nashville would be the 11 and 12, and they've beaten some pretty big teams. They'd be facing, let's see, Carolina against Arizona and Nashville against Baltimore. You could see both 11 and
Wow.
12
Yeah,
upset.
that would be big. And then Canton would end up playing Carolina, and Mexico City would get Nashville, who they get on Monday.
Yep, true.
If
Instant rematch.
right, if both of them were to win and pull monster upsets. We don't see a lot of road teams in the playoffs win in this league. We haven't for years. I can't remember the last bracket that was basically turned upside down. I remember when Baltimore and Sioux Falls were a 3 and a 4, and they both won their semifinal games. I think that was, what was that, season 16?
Well, season.
That was, yeah. That would have been, Baltimore's first, I think.
Or second. But that's the last time I can remember just shocking. No, 16 was Denver.
16 was
Yeah.
Denver. Baltimore
So-
was 15.
Yeah, it must have been 15. But I can't remember the last time we had a playoff bracket that was just totally thrown at, the road teams just came alive
It was-
and got a huge win.
What was that one where Queen City? It was somewhat recent, where Queen City made like I think they made the semis as like, they made the semis as like an 11 seed or something.
That was the last year that Comisac was there, right? Didn't they win? Did they beat Vegas?
Baltimore. They beat Baltimore in the quarterfinals, I think.
Yeah, I think you're
That would have
right.
been probably like maybe 13.
They beat Vegas in the 11-6 maybe, and then they beat Baltimore. Yeah.
And it was...
Well, just to put a bow on it, sorry to DC, Houston, and Louisiana. They all won today. Heck of an effort, but just came up just a little bit short, especially in Houston's case, who lost a couple of heartbreakers on tiebreakers. And Carolina, Nashville, and Atlanta, they still all have yet to play, and they still all could get in with a win or a loss. And Hunter, thanks for the shout out on the scheduling in your article, because it worked out just like we
Oh, it was perfect.
would have hoped. Maximum drama in the last 4 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean the Mexico City game ends up deciding like 4 different, at least like 3 or 4 different seating placements.
Yeah, it's going to be big. Final thoughts, panel?
Tomorrow night should be very interesting.
I'm going to be pulling my hair out.
Yeah, it's a big one. And Atlanta, Florida gets their own slot. Man, I just can't. I mean, good luck, Fox. It's just hard seeing Florida at number 6 on these scenarios and thinking that that's real life. It just doesn't seem real.
I understand. No matter what happens tomorrow, I know that we've already won this season, so we want to get to the playoffs, obviously. But
you've definitely exceeded expectations. And then, one of the low key games tomorrow is your team, Ray. The ultimate spoiler. Wouldn't that end the season on a 4-game winning streak if you win?
Yes.
don't do it, Ray. Don't do it. I need Albuquerque to win.
Carolina wants us to win. So.
Now, I believe Albuquerque, just looking at their scenarios, with a win, Albuquerque, it looks like they get a home playoff game. Yeah, with a win, they get a home playoff game. Here's a crazy scenario. Even if they lose, they could still be the 7 seed.
Yeah.
Because they beat all the 7 and 5 teams. But every other scenario, it looks like Albuquerque.
They could be as low as 12. In scenario 12, I think.
Right.
They were last.
Yeah. So Albuquerque could be as high as 7 or as low as 12 based on what happens in that game. And that obviously pushes a lot of teams up the ladder. Atlanta could be as high as 8, right? In scenario 11?
One scenario, I believe. Yeah, just that one.
I mean, I love Swole, and Josh is one of my good friends, but there's no love in VAR there.
And Albuquerque is one of the teams that we determined tonight they have clinched.
Yes.
There's even with a loss, Albuquerque will be in the playoffs. But they've been so good at home. They definitely don't want to go on the road. And I mean, some of these teams that Albuquerque would have to play in the first round are ridiculous. Florida in the 11-6 if they were on the road. Baltimore in the 12-5. Baltimore in the 11-6. Carolina in the 8-9 on the road. Fort Worth in the 10-7. That's probably what they might want the most because they beat Fort Worth earlier this season. But a lot of really, really tough games if Albuquerque cannot take care of business. So that's a big game too. So we will see you then. We will pack it up and we'll get ready for tomorrow. Thanks everyone that's hung out with us throughout the night, and thank you to our wonderful panel. We couldn't do it without you. I'd be sitting here all alone, probably doing this for 3 more hours without y'all's help. So great to have y'all around as always. And we'll see you for the conclusion of SFL regular season, season 23, coming up over the next 2 days. Have a great night, everybody.